Okay, now hopefully this is working. This is my video diary starting today, December 22nd, 2013. And my goal with this video diary is at some level to accomplish some goals. And I've got some health-oriented goals and some achievement goals that I would like to accomplish. Not merely in the coming year, but just over time to develop some better habits. That's what I'm hoping for. My name is Deborah. I'm 52 years old. And one of the things that, one of my goals is to become more flexible, to gain more spinal flexibility, particularly, and more joint strength. And so I'm using yoga. I'm using a style Iyengar yoga that I've been instructed in, and probably some of my own modifications from different types of vinyasa that I've done over the years. And in combination with this goal of gaining more flexibility, I'm hoping also to gain more insight and more clarity. Another issue that I'm dealing with is I am a person who will rely on wine a little too much when my moods are either agitated or I feel a sense of unhappiness or discomfort coming on. So I would like to not respond that way to triggers. And I'm the same is true when I'm around other people. I'm not comfortable around a lot of people. I'm an introvert by nature, and we can go into that much later. But today's stated goal is to start this video diary. That's one thing, and to just I want to write about today receiving help and how difficult it can be to receive help, because that's one of the issues that I deal with, and I think a lot of people deal with that. And in a compilation that I'm hoping to put together about how not to kill yourself, because I've dealt with suicidal thoughts my entire life, and I imagine other people have as well. And to me, suicide is something that's typically dealt with in a kind of very sort of surprised and a very alarmed way. When you talk about suicidal thoughts, people generally go directly to the action, which isn't necessarily true. And I think given my own life, given my own empirical experience, I don't imagine I'm the only one who deals with this. And there's a way to manage these thoughts. And of course, you reach a certain age and you go, oh, there they are again. You know, they're not fun and they're not easy, but there's ways to manage. And I wanted to write about this, first of all, because I think there's a lot of people that probably deal with it, and it feels isolating if you don't have someone to talk to about it, you haven't a community or don't know that one exists. And it doesn't have to be morose. This doesn't have to be morose. These are just thoughts, okay? That's the first thing to remember. But anyway, going back to one of these issues for me is accepting help. There's a lot of things I think that play into the type of nihilism that makes or that generates, that triggers, if you will, the nihilistic suicidal thoughts. And I'm letting that come up as being one of them. I'm going to probably use some terms that my British friend would tell me are new agey, and that's fine, because he's a rock with lips sometimes, so that's not very nice. He's a very smart man. But first of all, so I wanted to, actually I'm going to give my weight. My weight today is 127.6. I have 21.8% body fat, 57% water, and 32% bone density, which isn't bad. That's not bad for a woman my age. I'm 5'8". I don't look bad. It's the holiday season. I can live with 127. I prefer 124 because a lot of things are easier. The tight jeans are not tight. the yoga is easier, flexibility comes easier. So it's not just about the vanity. I'm sure that's part of that. I mean, quite frankly, I probably look a little better with just a couple of more pounds on me, but it's also about how I feel and how clear I feel. And the less I eat, literally, and that's not the less nutrition, the less I eat. And so I eat in a very specific way, and I'm criticized for it. I take a lot of criticism, I take a lot of heat. I've been a vegetarian for 32 years now, and when I say vegetarian, I mean no meat, no fish, no eggs, no cheese, no dairy for the most part. Dairy I've found, and this isn't about, it's not philosophical. It's what I have noticed my body feels best with, and that it's really that simple. And I did put dairy back into my diet for a few years, and I noticed that, and we know that, and I've got a little one going on today. I let myself kind of have whatever I kind of wanted to eat yesterday, and I do that once in a while. But you know, as women, as we get older, we get this thing going on down here, right? This thing going on down there, and I noticed it when I was eating dairy, and it wasn't up here. It wasn't here where the stomach is. It was down here where the colon, where the large intestine is, and it would be swollen. I mean, it would be swollen, and it would hurt. And I began to notice. I began to associate this with certain things. Certain kinds of wine, Prosecco, effervescent wines will do it. I think there's some reaction in the body that says, don't want this, and I have a story about champagne later, and it's not good. And dairy. I was eating cottage cheese. I loved it. It's really easy. It's the protein. You get a little bit of it. You would think, but I seem to be swelling all the time. So I thought, I'll take it out of my diet. I'll take dairy out of my diet. Again, I had done so previously, but thought I probably need the calcium. You know, as a female, but and I'm not saying dairy is bad. I'm saying the type of dairy that I was able to obtain. Who knows what's in it? I mean, the usual grocery store type dairy stuff, and my body didn't react well with it. In my estimation, I stopped eating it. This and the pain went away. So, that doesn't mean that I think the same would be true for everyone. I absolutely do not. The one thing I think is important is for everyone to listen to, pay attention to their own bodies, and adjust their habits and their meals accordingly, because no one knows your body better than you, and if you pay attention to it, it will tell you what it needs, and that includes getting sick, because if you overdo it and if you don't listen to it, it will get your attention one way or the other, including getting sick. So this, by the way, is a habit every morning. Green tea of some type. I think I've done this for 20 some years. Green tea or jasmine. Genmai cha, not so much. I do like Genmai cha, and I don't know why I don't drink it, but and that's the green tea with brown rice, with toasted brown rice. So, and it's a very savory tea if you happen to be hungry. So this came from a book called Scholar Warrior by Dingming Yao, and it's a Taoist. He is a Taoist, and I read that book many years ago, and it talked about practices, meditation, and drinking tea. And I suppose the tea habit is really the one that really remained. I'm not much of a scholar warrior, I won't say that. I do, I possess a black belt in martial arts, although I don't practice anymore. That's a long story, and I won't go into that today, but I think very, very highly of martial arts, and I do recommend it for a lot of reasons. I just earned a diving certification, so scuba diving is fantastic and wonderful, and I'm glad I've done that. I've skydived. I've had some really wonderful experiences in my life, and I'm really grateful for those. And um, I sometimes amaze. I am amazed based on where I came from. I came from a very kind of simple and not very salutary situation, let's say, and not to blame anybody, but I came out of childhood very, very injured, and with a lot of things to work with. So, and we can be grateful for those things. We can blame the world and be victims, or we can be grateful and say, look what this made me. It gave me a great deal of empathy in the world, and so I am grateful for it. I'm living in a very modest situation. I live by myself. There's sometimes when I glory in that, and there's sometimes I wish. Because again, I'm an introvert, and it's not natural for me to kind of go out and seek the company of people, and I don't relate to a lot of people. So, but back to the issues of to health and the things that I'm doing in that respect. And part of the reason I'm doing that is to get clarity so that these writing projects can work through me properly, so that I can be more in tune with my intuition. And that's part of what I want to do with my body. And I do sense I perceive, sometimes I use that instead of say I believe, because believe is kind of, to me, that's always been just a little, it's hard for me to believe something that I don't experience. So experientially, I perceive the mind-body connection, if you will, and the theories that the body has its own intelligence. I very much believe that it's not thoughts, if you will. There's a lot of noise that happens up here, but the whole organism and all the frequencies around you, in my estimation, are intelligence. That is it. There is a collective, if you will. I mean, how else can people organize driving through in 8 lanes of traffic, broken streetlights? I mean, there's something going on there in my mind, driving period on a freeway. So I think there's a collective intelligence. I perceive that, and sometimes I think our minds, with its noise, blocks that out. And so I've gravitated towards quiet. And it's taken a while because I've had to grapple with loneliness, some very deep loneliness. And the grappling with loneliness, that's not an easy thing to do. It feels like it may go on forever. It feels deep and hard. It can be like literally like a hard substance. But I have tried to relent. I have tried to release, to surrender to this, and to allow it. I won't say that I believe it's for a reason. That's again a phrase that I don't necessarily use. I do think that I can use it as an opportunity, which is a whole different thing in terms of believing it's for a reason. I can make it be for a reason if I choose to do so. It's not that easy. Again, loneliness, you're alone with all your stuff. You don't have anybody else, you don't have a husband, you don't have a partner, nobody to blame your stuff on. You're just alone in a room with it. So it takes some doing. But right now I won't say I've emerged from that, because I know that I'll experience loneliness again. I know that I'm bound to experience uncomfortable things. I am hoping to develop a different response to them than again, spending the evening drinking wine, and or in any other way distracting myself from that or running away from it. I do sense and have been instructed through different Buddhist and teachers, if you will, guides, that there's very rich and important awareness and knowledge to be had from discomfort, emotional and psychic discomfort, and loneliness. And so I'm trying to listen to that and to respect it, and to work with that and see what's within there. So sip of tea. The other thing I was going to say, and I think these video diaries are going to have to be much shorter going forward. But anyway, I have gone back to the habit of first thing in the morning I drink this big glass full of water with just a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it. And this is a habit I've long known about, and my sensei back in Los Angeles, back in Santa Monica, Sensei Vasi Naidu, he drinks like a bucket of this every morning. And he's a person who is ageless. And so in a lot of ways, I kind of pay attention to what he does. And I won't go too deeply there, but the things that he does for his health are very salutary, and nobody has stronger abs than he, which I think is an important thing too for your entire body, because it's a system. One thing is off, it throws everything else off. It's bound to happen. But this, I feel, I've gone back to the habit. It takes some getting used to. But first thing in the morning, and what I do is this: I use a straw, so I don't destroy my teeth completely, and chase it with straight water to get the vinegar off my teeth. So, but it literally, presumably, it has the effect of like cleansing the lymph system and so forth. I don't know if that's true or not. There's something about the way I feel when I do it. It makes me feel better. And then I'm starting the day also sort of flushing my system with the large glass of cider vinegar water, and with water, and with green tea. So rather than eating first, I give the system a little bit of I wash it out a little bit, give it some time, and then usually my breakfast will consist of roasted unsalted almonds, and sometimes fruit, berries, and maybe later. So the way that I eat is, and it's not ideal. If I wanted to lose some weight, I would just, it's actually not that hard, and I probably will soon. Again, it's the season. But I'll start with a few almonds. I'll see how I feel. Maybe I'll eat some fruit in a little while, and ultimately I might have oatmeal with a little peanut butter in it, and that will hold me. That sometimes will hold me for most of the rest of the day. I try not to eat solid food in the evening, but I'm not rigid about that, because sometimes my body wants kale and something to chew. But I like a miso broth, maybe with some tofu and some mushrooms in it. And I try to do put some turmeric in it, because turmeric is an anti-inflammatory, very very healthful benefits to turmeric. So I try in the evening, and if not that, then ginger tea, and I put turmeric in it, and it's really very good. So this is today. And I guess the thing I want to have here, and I want to be able to see my own progress. So, and one of the things that I'm doing, I have the shoulder's frozen up a little bit. I subluxated it a couple of times in karate, and so it's a little stiff. It's a little stiff. So my yoga instructor, Holly Hewins at Yoga Center Palm Desert. We had a session together yesterday. It was really great. And she showed me this very simple exercise to do. And so I'm hoping that that opens up that shoulder. As a matter of fact, most of my right side, my right hip, and I don't know if it's because I'm right dominant, but the joints on this side generally are a little bit tighter. And so even the big toe joint, that's where I have the most pain. And the muscles around this hip are a little tighter, and in the shoulder. And this manifests again. It's in my neck, and so I'm trying to open that up gently. I'm not trying to force anything here. Hopefully, open that up. Now, theoretically, is it tight again because I'm simply right dominant in the way that we use our bodies and how we carry my purse on one shoulder, and sure, and I use a computer, so I'm out here. The other potential, and who knows how much, there's probably a combination of these factors, but emotionally, again, the body, when we can't cope with something emotionally, theory has it that it comes to rest in our body somewhere. And I do, again, perceive that to be realistic. Because again, of my personal experience. And that's as far as I'll go. I mean, one could look around at people pretty clearly and see, people that are beaten down in life are beaten down physically. They don't look open, strong, and vibrant. They look beaten down. And so I think these things do have a physical impact on us, and that trauma can lock itself in our body. And that therapy, talk therapy, cognitive therapy, and so forth, there's a place for it. There's no question. It depends on who you are and how you use it. I think all tools are that way. You can't expect miracles, and if you're not open to it, then it's probably not going to happen. But also, for me, I've gone that route, and I felt like, okay, that's all I'm going to get out of it. And so karate kind of played into that. Was part of the treatment for dealing with attacks, and for dealing with past attacks, and learning how to relive that in a positive way. And then the yoga is, in addition to, for whatever trauma, to gently allow it to, if it needs to come into my awareness, and some has, if it just to allow it to respect the body and say, you don't have to hold this anymore. But so how much that is, how much I have atrophied my creativity, you can even say. Of course, the right brain is creative, so that's the left side, but the left side is non-dominant. So I've probably tried to spank my left brain too much, because the way that I was conditioned to believe, and the way that I grew up, and this is very common, is that your creativity is not going to get you anywhere. Your creativity isn't valued. It is your reason and your logic. That's where your value lies. And if you don't do that, you're going to starve and die, and just live this miserable life. So creativity was like, you gotta get out there and do something, which that's just not me. But I am basically a technology writer, but I'm probably not what one thinks of in the normal realm of technology writing. So with that said, I think I'm into like 24 minutes. No one's going to sit through this but me, and I might not even, but anyway. So this very simply is an exercise to open the shoulders. And I'm probably going to do this again in a future video, because I want to see, you can see here where it starts stressing, and I'm bending a little bit to get over. And the point to open up, so you can see here, and so this is something else I'm going to do. I'm going to bring that pelvis forward so that I'm not putting this curve in my lumbar. But I kind of have a tendency to do that if I'm not thinking about it. So that's another good reason for the video diary. But because those shoulders, and then see what happens to my head, and neck goes forward. So I want to get to the point where I'm not thrusting my seat back. I'm not thrusting my head forward. It's going to take a little time. And then eventually what I want to do is come in. Okay. So, but you can see what's happening. So one of my goals is to do that smoothly. And so I just started that. Holly taught me that, and I'm liking that a lot. So then the other thing now, and this is it's going to be a little difficult for me to see this, but the other thing is a proper forward bend. Now, I'm going to come over here once in a while because the screen goes dark. So the forward bend is a basic part of yoga. Is my head cut off? Yeah, it is cut off a little bit. Let's do this. We're still running? Yeah. So the forward bend, again, basic part of yoga. And, you usually start your sun salutations with a forward bend. But, okay, so my lower back, so I can feel that already in my lower back. I do have some hamstring damage over here that I'm trying to let it heal. But, so you can see what happens if I go down from here, things begin to curve. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. So, this is where I want to work. I want to see how much progress I can make in bringing the sternum forward, in rolling the pelvis down, and keeping the back flat as possible. Not merely that, but the shoulders back, the shoulder blades down, and then the stomach coming in slightly. And again, the sooner you are when you do this, at some level, it's a little easier. So that's the goal here, is to keep this lumbar, and even now I can feel it. And some of the tightness is my lower back, and some of it is this left hamstring attachment right on this ischial tuberosity. When I get massage there, it plays like a guitar string. You can feel it. So that injury happened about a year ago, and it does take a long time for them. I haven't been astute that full time about working it, and I do run up hills. So those two things in combination are probably have kind of irritated it a little bit. So anyway, that is today's episode of my video diary, and future installments will likely be shorter. So, and if I decide to post this on YouTube and you're watching, thank you.